Imagine this. You're in your kitchen on a quiet morning. You open your pantry, grab a can of fruit, beans, or soup thinking, this is quick, safe, and healthy enough. But here's the shocking truth. What's inside that can might be slowly poisoning your body, spiking your blood sugar, throwing off your hormones, and even increasing your risk of heart disease or cancer, all while pretending to be convenient nutrition. Yes, even healthy-looking canned foods can hide dangerous ingredients, toxic metals, and hormone disruptors. In this video, I'm going to reveal the top 10 canned foods you should never eat, what makes them harmful, and what you can eat instead to protect your brain, muscles, and metabolism, especially if you're over 55. So stay until the end, because I'll also show you which 2 canned foods are actually safe and useful in emergencies. Before we dive in, let me ask you, have you ever relied on canned food for convenience? If yes, type guilty in the comments below. And while you're at it, please like, subscribe, and tap the bell icon because every week I share doctor-approved tips to protect your health naturally through real food, not pills. Canned food was once considered a survival miracle. It's cheap, lasts forever, and doesn't require refrigeration. But the real cost of that convenience is often hidden not in your wallet, but in your health. Here's what happens inside that sealed metal can. Vitamins, especially vitamin C and B complex, degrade rapidly under high heat during canning. Essential minerals like magnesium and potassium leach out of the food and into the liquid or syrup. Worse, acidic foods like tomatoes or pineapple eat away at the can's inner lining, releasing BPA or BPS, which act as endocrine disruptors, chemicals that mimic estrogen and can mess with hormones, weight, and even increase cancer risk. So when you open that shiny can and see healthy beans or tomatoes, you're not just getting food, you're getting a cocktail of altered nutrients, sugar, salt, and industrial chemicals. Canned fruit. Let's start with one that sounds innocent. Canned fruit. Fresh fruit contains vitamin C, potassium, and fiber, but when it's canned, all that changes. During canning, fruits are heated above 200 degrees, destroying over 90% of vitamin C. What's left is fruit swimming in syrup, heavy, light, or in its own juice. Even in its own juice isn't safe. It's often made from concentrated fruit juice, which is essentially added sugar. Here's the math. 1 par 2 cup of heavy syrup fruit, 25-30 grams of sugar. 1 par 2 cup of light syrup fruit, 15 to 20 grams. Even in its own juice, 12 to 16 grams of sugar. To compare, 1 can of soda, 12 Oz, has about 35 to 40 grams of sugar. A cup of fresh raspberries has just 5 grams of sugar plus 8 grams of fiber that slows absorption and prevents blood sugar spikes. So while canned peaches may look healthy, your body processes that sugar exactly like candy. Doctors note, high sugar intake can worsen insulin resistance, fatty liver, and cognitive decline, 3 major concerns for seniors. Swap it for fresh fruit and seasoned berries, kiwi or apples, or frozen fruit flash frozen at harvest to retain nutrients. 9. Canned tomato sauce and pasta sauce. Tomatoes are naturally acidic. During canning, this acidity combined with added citric acid and salt can corrode the can's lining. That lining is typically BPA-based epoxy, which breaks down over time. Why it matters. BPA, bisphenol A, mimics estrogen and can disrupt hormone balance, especially in seniors who already face hormonal shifts. Studies from Europe show BPA exposure as low as 50 parts per billion, ppb, can cause effects, yet the U.S. limit is still 3,000 ppb. That's a 60,000x higher tolerance in the U.S. Shocking, right? Even BPA-free cans often use BPS or BPF, which are chemically similar and just as harmful. Plus, most canned sauces have 8 to 12 grams of sugar per 1 to 2 cup, added seed oils, and preservatives, citric acid plus sugar, corrosion, plus chemical leaching. Avoid pre-made sauces. If you must use canned tomatoes, choose plain crushed tomatoes with no salt, no citric acid, ideally packed in glass jars or Tetra Pak cartons. Smart tip, buy fresh tomatoes in bulk when in season. If they start wrinkling, blend and freeze them 0 BPA, 0 waste. Canned beans, especially baked beans. Beans are great for fiber and protein unless they're baked beans in sweet sauce. A quick label check reveals the truth. 1-2 cup of baked beans contains about 18 grams of sugar. That's more sugar than Coca-Cola. You'll also find canola oil, artificial flavors, and preservatives. Plus, beans are often packed in salty or acidic liquids, which leach chemicals from the can lining. Minerals like magnesium and potassium migrate into the liquid, which most people drain off. That means you're throwing away part of the nutrition you paid for. If you love beans, go for plain canned beans like black beans, pinto beans, or kidney beans in water only. Choose BPA-free or oleoresin-lined cans, brands like Eden Foods do this, and rinse them before eating to reduce sodium by up to 40%. Pro tip, make your own beans in a pressure cooker. 1 pound of dried beans yields about 6 cups cooked, and you control the salt and flavor. Canned soup, here's where marketing plays its dirtiest trick. Healthy, low-fat, or heart-healthy soups often hide excess sodium, MSG, and seed oils. Typical small can, about 10 Oz, up to 2,500 milligrams sodium, the entire daily recommended limit. Hidden MSG under names like yeast extract, hydrolyzed protein, or natural flavors, sugar, thickeners, and preservatives to mask metallic taste. Health impact, too much sodium without balancing potassium and magnesium. Stresses your kidneys and blood vessels. In seniors, this imbalance can cause edema, fatigue, and even irregular heartbeat. Quick comparison, 1 can of soup. The same sodium as 25 slices of bread. Doctor's tip, if you must use canned soup, dilute it with 1-2 cup water or broth. Add fresh vegetables or 1-4 avocado to restore mineral balance. Or better yet, make your own using bone broth, real spices, and frozen veggies. Tuna in vegetable oil. Tuna can be a healthy protein if handled right, but many brands pack it in soybean or canola oil. Both are highly inflammatory seed oils that oxidize under heat and can harm your arteries. Worse, canned tuna can contain mercury, depending on species and source. High levels damage the nervous system and impair memory. Average tuna can, 5 Oz, contain 0.3 bisphenol. Mercury safe limits are 1.0 ppm, but cumulative intake matters. Over time, frequent tuna eaters can exceed weekly mercury exposure by 2 to 3x, the recommended threshold. Choose light tuna or skipjack tuna, lower mercury levels than albacore. Pick tuna in water or olive oil, not vegetable oil. Consume no more than 2 cans per week. And don't waste that olive oil. It contains healthy omega-3s that protect your brain and joints. Bonus tip, prefer sardines or mackerel packed in water or extra virgin olive oil. They're rich in omega-3s and much lower in mercury. Canned pasta meals, spaghetti, ravioli, etc. These are among the worst offenders for seniors trying to protect heart and metabolic health. Here's what's really inside that hearty meal in a can. White flour, refined carbs, sugary tomato sauce, cheap seed oils, low-quality meat, MSG, and preservatives. A single serving can have 50-60 grams of carbs, 12 to 15 grams of sugar, 1,000 plumb sodium. All this in a tiny 10-12 Oz can. Why it matters for seniors. After 55, insulin sensitivity declines. These refined carbs spike blood sugar fast, leading to post-meal fatigue, brain fog, and gradual fat gain around the abdomen, a risk factor for type 2 diabetes and stroke. Skip the can. Instead, make 10-minute homemade pasta sauce using about 1 cup crushed tomatoes, fresh or frozen. Teaspoon olive oil, garlic, herbs, and black pepper. Serve over whole grain or lentil pasta for extra fiber. Canned meat and stew, including Vienna sausages. If you've ever opened a can of beef stew or Vienna sausage, you know that rubbery texture. It's not your imagination, it's ultra-processed meat, often made from mechanically separated trimmings or pink slime. What's inside? Low-grade meat scraps, soy protein concentrate or textured vegetable protein, TVP, MSG, sugar, starch, preservatives, and nitrates. These additives are linked to inflammation, high blood pressure, and even increased cancer risk when eaten frequently. When you read specially selected ingredients, that often means we selected the cheapest parts possible. If you enjoy chili or stew, make it yourself with grass-fed beef, organic beans, and homemade tomato base. Add anti-inflammatory spices like turmeric and cumin. Even using some plain canned beans or crushed tomatoes is fine, as long as 90% of your ingredients are fresh. Canned vegetables. You might think canned veggies are an easy way to get fiber, but here's the catch. They're often nutrient-dead and chemically treated to look fresh. What's inside? Calcium chloride, texture stabilizer; calcium disodium, EDA, color and freshness stabilizer; added salt and sugar. These chemicals may sound harmless, but they're purely cosmetic. They make limp vegetables look crisp and green, while most vitamins are gone. Vitamin loss. Canning destroys up to 50–80% of vitamin C and 60% of B vitamins. Mineral loss. Minerals leach into the liquid, and if you drain it, you lose them too. Choose frozen vegetables instead. They're flash frozen within hours of harvest and retain nutrients. If using canned, pick unsalted, no added sugar options and rinse before eating. Avoid products with EDA or calcium chloride on the label. Canned fish with sauce. You've probably seen sardines in tomato sauce or mackerel in spicy oil. Unfortunately, these sauces often ruin an otherwise healthy food. Here's what you'll find: sugar, soybean or sunflower oil, MSG, and artificial flavors. Sodium levels exceeding 1/200–500 mg per can. Doctor's tip: buy fish in water or olive oil only. Drain lightly if too salty, and combine with fresh lemon juice and herbs. That way you get the omega-3s and protein without the chemical junk. Sweetened condensed milk. This one might surprise you, but it's essentially liquid sugar. Just 2 tablespoons have 20 grams of sugar. That's 5 teaspoons. Add in artificial flavorings, stabilizers, and you've got one of the most concentrated sugar bombs on the shelf. Use heavy cream or coconut cream. Sweeten naturally with stevia or monk fruit if needed. You'll get the creaminess without the metabolic chaos. After 60, your body's detox and hormonal systems slow down. That means toxins like BPA, preservatives, and oxidized oils stay in your system longer. Meanwhile, nutrient loss from processed food accelerates sarcopenia, muscle loss, insulin resistance, and cognitive decline. Your pantry can either accelerate aging or protect you from it. As we age past 55, our metabolism slows, detox pathways weaken, and our hormonal balance shifts. What might have been fine in your 30s can now cause chronic inflammation, bloating, or even metabolic dysfunction. Canned foods. Though convenient, are often a triple threat for seniors: nutrient depletion. Canning uses high heat, around 240 degrees for sterilization. This destroys heat-sensitive vitamins like vitamin C, folate, and B6, chemical exposure. Most cans use linings that contain BPA, BPS, or BPF, known endocrine disruptors that interfere with estrogen, thyroid, and adrenal hormones. Sugar and sodium. Overload. Canned foods are often pre-sweetened or salted to mask flavor loss, worsening hypertension and insulin resistance, 2 of the most common conditions in older adults. Let's dig deeper into what these dangers actually mean for your health and how to defend yourself. The hidden hormone hijackers, BPA, BPS, and BPF. You've seen labels that say BPA free, but here's what most people, even health-conscious seniors, don't realize. BPA free doesn't mean chemical free. Manufacturers often replace BPA, bisphenol A, with BPS, bisphenol S, or BPF, bisphenol F, compounds nearly identical in structure and just as disruptive to your hormones. A 2021 Environmental Health Perspective study found that BPS and BPF bind to estrogen receptors and mimic estrogen's effect on the body. Even tiny doses as low as 1 part per billion, ppb, can alter endocrine activity. Europe has already reduced BPA limits from 50 ppb to near 0.01 ppb. In contrast, the US FDA's current limit remains 3,000 ppb, 300,000 times higher. Exposure can lower testosterone, reducing energy, strength, and libido. Women, it can worsen hot flashes, weight gain, or thyroid imbalances. Both. BPA exposure correlates with higher risks of hypertension, type 2 diabetes, and cognitive decline. Doctor's tip: choose glass jars, Tetra Pak, or oleoresin-lined cans, a plant-based resin used by brands like Eden Foods. Never heat canned foods directly in the can, always transfer them to glass or ceramic first. The silent sodium trap: salt isn't evil, but balance is everything. The average small can of soup or chili contains 2,500 mg of sodium, equal to or exceeding the entire daily limit for older adults. Why that's a problem. Sodium alone isn't the enemy, but most canned foods lack potassium, magnesium, and calcium that balance it. Your kidneys depend on that balance to regulate water and blood pressure. Too much sodium without balancing minerals causes fluid retention, swelling, and heart strain. A healthy sodium to potassium ratio should be around 1.2. Most canned meals invert that; they deliver 2:1 or even 4:1 in favor of sodium. If you absolutely must use a can of soup or beans, pair it with 1 punker 2 avocado, rich in potassium, tablespoon pumpkin seeds, magnesium, or cup steamed spinach, adds calcium, potassium, and antioxidants. This rebalances electrolytes and reduces sodium stress. The sugar bombs in disguise. When you see "in its own juice" or "low fat," your brain relaxes, but these labels often hide high sugar content. Fruit cocktail in its own juice: 12-16 grams sugar per 1-2 cup baked beans, up to 18 grams sugar per 1-2 cup tomato sauce, 8-12 grams sugar per 1-2 cup. For reference, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 24 grams of sugar per day for women and 36 grams for men. That means one small serving of canned fruit can already exceed the daily limit. Excess sugar spikes blood glucose and insulin, leading to fatigue, belly fat, and elevated triglycerides. Over time, it worsens insulin resistance, which can lead to type 2 diabetes and memory issues. A 2020 Harvard study found that seniors who consumed more than 40 grams of added sugar daily had double the risk of cognitive decline over 5 years. Doctor's tip: choose frozen fruit, same sweetness, higher nutrients, 0 BPA, or use fresh fruit and freeze leftovers in 1-2 cup portions for smoothies. When convenience steals your minerals. One overlooked fact about canned foods is mineral migration. During canning, minerals like potassium, magnesium, and zinc move from the food into the surrounding liquid. If you drain or rinse that liquid, you're literally pouring those nutrients down the drain. However, and here's the catch, that same liquid may also contain BPA, added salt, or sugar, depending on the food type. If it's canned fruit or soup, discard the liquid. It's usually syrup or salt-heavy. If it's plain beans or tuna in water, keep or reuse some of the liquid; it contains minerals. If it's tuna in seed oil, drain completely. Those oils are oxidized and inflammatory. This strategy helps you retain nutrients while minimizing toxin exposure. The acid problem. How tomato products erode the lining. Acidic foods like tomatoes, pineapple, and citrus-based sauces are especially reactive. When sealed in a metal can with citric acid and salt, they attack the inner lining, accelerating the leaching of BPA and metals such as tin. A 2018 food chemistry study found that BPA concentration in canned tomatoes increased by 2 after 6 months of storage at room temperature. Buy tomatoes in glass jars or cartons, or freeze your own. Blend fresh tomatoes, pour into freezer bags, and use as needed for sauces or soups. The healthy canned fish myth. We all know fish is good for the heart and brain, but the canned variety is a mixed bag. Sardines and mackerel are fantastic in their natural state, but once companies add tomato sauces, chili oils, or flavor boosters, you're getting sugar, refined seed oils, MSG, artificial coloring, and excessive sodium. What's worse, these sauces often oxidize omega-3 fats, turning beneficial oils rancid. Safer choice: fish in water or extra virgin olive oil, no sauce. Look for low mercury certification if you consume tuna. Store unopened cans in a cool, dark place. Heat accelerates chemical leaching. How canned foods affect seniors. Differently, the average senior's metabolism processes toxins and sodium more slowly. That means chemical exposure lingers longer in the bloodstream. Here's how that affects key systems, brain and nerves. BPA, sugar spikes, linked to memory loss, brain fog, mood swings, heart and arteries, sodium imbalance, seed oils. Increases blood pressure, plaque formation, muscles and bones, nutrient depletion, MG, protein loss, worsens sarcopenia and weakness. Hormones, BPA, BPS mimic estrogen, lowers testosterone, disrupts thyroid, gut and immunity preservatives, MSG damages gut flora, increases inflammation. Every bite of food either fights inflammation or fuels it. With canned foods, you're often paying for convenience with inflammation. Dr. Lisa Marlowe, PhD, Clinical Nutrition Specialist, 8. The emergency exception. When canned foods make sense. Now, let's be practical. I'm not saying you can never eat anything from a can. In emergencies, power outages, natural disasters, or long trips, canned goods can save the day. Doctor-approved emergency list: plain canned beans, no salt, BPA-free, canned salmon or sardines in olive oil, canned pumpkin puree, no sugar, great for fiber, coconut milk and BPA-free cans, crushed tomatoes in glass jars. These options provide protein, fiber, and healthy fats without heavy chemicals or sugars. How to store them? Keep in a cool area below 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Rotate stock every 6 to 12 months. Never consume cans that are bulging, rusted, or leaking. How to spot better canned foods? At the store, when you pick up a can, don't just glance at the front, flip it around. Here's your 10-second health scan checklist. Ingredients: the shorter, the better. E.g., beans, water, salt. Avoid sugar, corn syrup, canola oil, citric acid, or yeast extract. Look for no salt added, packed in water, BPA-free liner. Avoid acids plus salt together that combo corrodes linings fastest. Prefer brands using glass jars or cartons, safer and more eco-friendly. Smarter alternatives: how to replace canned foods easily. Here's how you can replace common canned foods without losing convenience. Canned fruit and syrup, frozen berries or fresh apple slices, more fiber, less sugar. Canned beans, cook dried beans in bulk, freeze portions, no preservatives. Full minerals, canned tomato sauce, fresh or frozen blended tomatoes, no BPA, no added sugar. Canned soup, homemade broth, plus veggies, lower sodium, higher nutrients. Tuna in seed oil, sardines in olive oil, higher omega-3, lower toxins. Condensed milk coconut cream, plus stevia, less sugar, anti-inflammatory fats. Each swap cuts sugar, sodium, and toxins while improving nutrient density. Now, the 90-10 rule for real-world eating. Let's be honest, life gets busy. Not every meal can be made from scratch. That's why I recommend the 90-10 rule. 90% of your diet, fresh whole foods. Percent minimally processed, safe canned or frozen items. That ratio keeps your toxic exposure low while maintaining convenience. If you eat 3 meals a day, that's 21 meals a week. 2 of those can include a high-quality canned product, and you'll still be in the safe zone. 2. How to detox naturally after years of canned food use. If you've eaten canned foods for decades, don't panic. Your body can recover and detoxify naturally once you start supporting it. Doctor's detox protocol: increase hydration, 8 to 10 cups of water daily. Add lemon for antioxidants. Eat cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, kale, cauliflower. Help the liver break down BPA and toxins. Boost magnesium. Intake: 300-400 mg daily from spinach, almonds, or supplements. Add antioxidants: cocoa, 1 TBSP, berries, and green tea to fight oxidative stress. Sweat regularly through light walking or sauna 3 to 4 times per week. After 3-6 months, most patients report improved energy, better sleep, and reduced bloating, all signs of toxin reduction. E. The economic myth. Healthy is too expensive. Many seniors believe fresh or frozen food costs more. But studies show the difference is often minimal. Green beans, $60.75, frozen. Tomatoes, $50.70, frozen or fresh blended. Beans, $35, cooked from dry. In most cases, fresh or frozen is cheaper per nutrient, and you skip the medical costs tied to high-sodium chemical-heavy diets. Emotional connection. But I grew up on this food. This is important. Many seniors grew up eating canned goods during tougher times, wars, economic hardship, or childhood scarcity. There's emotional comfort in a can of soup or peaches, but health is about evolution. What kept us fed then now keeps us inflamed. You don't have to throw everything away. Just trade nostalgia for knowledge and you'll enjoy both taste and longevity. Meet Ellen, 68. She ate canned soup and tuna daily for convenience. She complained of fatigue, swelling ankles, and brain fog. After switching to mostly fresh food and replacing her canned meals with frozen vegetables, homemade soups, and sardines in olive oil, her results were stunning. Blood pressure dropped from 148/92 to 126/78 in 3 months. Her doctor reduced her hypertension medication by half. I didn't realize convenience was costing me my energy, she said. Food companies will keep selling cheap, long-lasting products because they profit from your convenience, not your health. But you now know the truth, that 95C can of soup may cost $95 in health bills down the line. Let's look at what actually happens to your nutrients during the canning process. Canning involves heating food to between 230 degrees and 275 degrees to kill bacteria. While that ensures safety, it destroys fragile vitamins and alters minerals and antioxidants. Vitamin C, 85–95% destroyed weakened immunity, slower healing. Vitamin B6, folate 50–75% destroyed lower energy, poor brain function. Magnesium and potassium, 20–40% lost into liquid muscle cramps, fatigue, high BP. Antioxidants, polyphenols, 40–60% lost, higher inflammation, aging skin. Protein, quality, reduced digestibility in meats. Beans, weaker muscles, slower recovery. So even if your canned food starts healthy, by the time it reaches your plate, it's often a hollow version of the original. How canned food accelerates aging in seniors? You might be wondering, is it really that bad? For seniors, the answer is yes, and here's why. Aging changes how your body processes food and toxins. Reduced enzyme activity. Your liver and pancreas produce fewer enzymes with age, so additives, preservatives, and synthetic oils are harder to break down. Weaker detox systems. The liver and kidneys filter slower, allowing BPA, nitrates, and sodium to linger longer. Leaky gut risk. Preservatives like calcium disodium, EDTA, and MSG damage the intestinal lining, making you more prone to inflammation. Inflammatory cascade. Constant low-level exposure leads to joint pain, fatigue, and memory problems, what doctors call inflammaging. Research highlight. A 2021 study in the Journals of Gerontology found that seniors with the highest processed food intake had 28% faster cognitive decline over 5 years than those who ate whole foods. In short, your body ages faster when it's fed chemicals, not nutrients. BPA isn't just a hormone disruptor, it's a neurotoxin. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and interferes with neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin. A 2019 JAMA Neurology study showed that older adults with higher BPA levels scored lower on memory and processing tests. Another 2020 animal study revealed that BPA exposure reduced hippocampal neuron density, the part of the brain responsible for memory formation. If your memory, balance, or focus seems to fade, it may not be just age. It could be what's leaching out of your pantry. Let's break down how canned foods hit your cardiovascular system from 3 angles. Sodium. Too much sodium stiffens arteries and raises blood pressure. For seniors, this can mean more swelling, dizziness, and increased risk of heart attacks. Target limit. Ideally, 502 ml per day for adults over 60, yet a single can of soup or stew can exceed that. Sugar doesn't just harm your waistline, it increases triglycerides and fuels artery inflammation. Even tomato sauce with 8 grams of sugar per serving adds up fast. Seed oils, soybean, canola, and sunflower oils, common in canned meats and sauces, oxidize easily, creating lipid peroxides, compounds that damage blood vessel walls. Doctor's simple rule: if the can lists an oil and it's not olive or coconut, don't buy it. Here's a practical 1-for-1 replacement guide to detox your pantry without feeling deprived. Canned fruit and syrup, sugar overload, vitamin C loss, frozen berries or apples, tomato sauce in metal, canned BPA, plus sugar tomato puree in glass jar, baked beans, sugar, plus seed oils, home-cooked beans, freeze portions, soup, high sodium, MSG homemade broth, plus frozen veggies, tuna in vegetable oil, mercury, oxidized oil sardines in olive oil, canned chili meat stew, preservatives, low-quality meat, homemade chili, grass-fed beef, canned vegetables, vitamin loss, plus EDA, frozen veggies, condensed milk, 60% sugar, coconut cream, plus stevia fruit cocktail, high sugar, BPA, whole fruit salad, canned pasta, white flour, salt, whole grain pasta, plus fresh sauce. This approach isn't about restriction, it's about smart swaps that protect your energy and longevity. You might ask, how much canned food is safe? Doctor's rule of thumb: up to 2 cans per week from safe sources is acceptable as long as 90% of your diet is whole foods. What counts as safe sources? BPA-free liners or glass jars, plain beans, tomatoes, or fish in water, dark olive oil, no added sugar or acids. If it's sweet, oily, or labeled ready to eat, it's probably trouble. Let's take an example from Dr. Kevin Lawton, a clinical nutritionist with over 15 years of experience. He conducted a simple 6-month challenge with 40 seniors who replaced most canned foods with fresh or frozen alternatives. Results after 6 months: average blood pressure dropped by 11 points from 139/87 to 128/76. Waist circumference decreased by 1.5 inches. Energy scores on fatigue scale improved by 38%. Medication reliance: 7 participants reduced or stopped BP meds under doctor supervision. Dr. Lawton concluded, reducing canned food intake wasn't just about eating clean, it restored metabolic flexibility and boosted daily vitality. Sometimes you're traveling or storms hit and canned foods are all you have. Here's how to make them safer. Rinse canned beans or vegetables under warm water for 30 seconds. Reduces sodium by up to 40%. Drain oil-packed fish completely, unless it's olive oil. Transfer contents to a pot, never heat in the can. Heat accelerates BPA leaching. Add fresh herbs, lemon, or spices to boost antioxidants. Combine with fiber-rich foods, avocado, brown rice, leafy greens, to slow sugar absorption. This turns a risky food into a manageable meal. Pairing the right foods helps your body buffer toxins and maximize nutrient absorption. Canned tuna, fresh lemon, plus parsley. Vitamin C helps chelate mercury. Canned beans, olive oil, plus herbs. Fats enhance mineral absorption. Canned tomatoes, spinach or kale, boosts potassium, balances sodium. Occasional soup, avocado or banana restores electrolytes. Sardines, whole grain toast, plus arugula, fiber as nitrates improve circulation. Eating smart combinations helps your body work with your food, not against it. Nutrition and movement always go hand in hand. Even small daily exercises can accelerate detox and muscle regeneration. Recommended by Dr. Marlowe, geriatric specialist. Walking: 20-30 minutes a day at a brisk but comfortable pace. Chair squats or wall sits, 2 sets of 10 reps daily. Stretching: 5 minutes morning and evening. Light resistance training, 2 to 3 days per week. These moves help your lymphatic system flush toxins, including BPA residues, while keeping muscles active and insulin sensitivity high. Here's a doctor-approved beverage to support your liver and kidneys while cutting back on canned foods. Morning liver. Detox tonic. Cup warm water, 8 Oz. Juice of 1-2 lemon, 1-2 teaspoon turmeric powder. A pinch of black pepper enhances absorption 2000%. Optional: 1 teaspoon raw honey. Drink on an empty stomach. It helps neutralize free radicals, reduce inflammation, and support healthy digestion, counteracting years of chemical exposure. Let's debunk some myths you've probably heard. Canned foods are just as healthy as fresh, they're preserved. Truth: Canning preserves shelf life, not nutrients. Most vitamins and enzymes die at 240 degrees. BPA-free means safe. Truth. BPA alternatives, BPS, BPF can be just as harmful. Salt helps preserve nutrients. Truth. Salt prevents spoilage, not nutrient loss. It doesn't protect vitamins from heat. You need processed food for convenience. Truth. Frozen food gives you the same convenience with higher nutrient retention. Dr. Sarah Green, a registered dietitian with 20 years of senior nutrition experience, says it best. Canned foods aren't evil, but they're outdated. Seniors today deserve better options: frozen, fresh, or glass-packed foods that protect health, not harm it. The smallest daily swaps lead to the biggest long-term results. She adds, "What matters most isn't perfection, it's progress. Even cutting your canned food intake in half can reduce chemical exposure and inflammation within weeks." You can't control your age, but you can control what you put on your plate and in your pantry. Every can you skip brings your body one step closer to healing, balance, and energy. Aging gracefully isn't about restriction. It's about wisdom, knowing what your body truly needs and what it doesn't. So next time you reach for that can, ask yourself, is this feeding my body or just filling my shelf? If today's video opened your eyes, hit the like button to support educational health content. Comment below, "I'm cleaning my pantry today," and subscribe for weekly doctor-backed tips on senior health, longevity, and nutrition. Remember, health isn't built in a hospital. It's built in your kitchen, one smart choice at a time. Until next time. Stay curious, stay strong, and stay ageless.